Hey, this is Dustin with Boomers Outdoors. And if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know I'm always looking for budget-friendly backpacking gear because not everybody can afford to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on really good gear. So I always look for gear that is medium quality gear at good prices. And so around the first of the year, I was looking on Amazon at one-person backpacking tents, and one caught my eye from a company I'd never heard of. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it because I liked the overall design of it, and the materials looked like they were good quality materials. Now, the name of this company is Luxe Tempo, and this is the Luxe Tempo 3.3 pound one-person backpacking tent. Although it's not really 3.3 pounds, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just break this thing down and take a look at it and see what you get with this tent. So what do we get in the bag? Well, we get the fly and the body and the poles, a footprint and stakes. Let's look at the poles first. The poles are 7.9 millimeter aluminum. And with this tent, I will say the poles surprised me. They are a strong point with this tent. Sometimes with these inexpensive tents, you get poles that are pretty flimsy. These are actually pretty nice poles. And they are pre-bent, which is really nice. You get 11 aluminum stakes, and they are the cheaper aluminum stakes that you get with a lot of these Chinese tents. They're fine in soft ground. If you get into hard ground, you can bend them pretty easily. You probably want to upgrade your stakes. And you get 4 nice guy ropes. You get the body and the fly of the tent, and the fly of the tent is this color called green pod, which is pretty green. And so let's get this thing set up and see what it looks like. So let's take a look at the tent without the fly on it, just to get a look at it. As you can see, it does seem to have good shoulder room on it. It has a very large door, which makes it easy to get in and out. And it has pre-bent poles that cross twice. And that's what helps open the top of the tent to give you that shoulder room. Now, I will say this tent says it's the 3.3 pound one-person backpacking tent. But when you put everything together, it's actually 3.7 pounds, actually 3.75 according to my scale. They get 3.3 by leaving off the footprint and also by leaving out 4 stakes and the 4 additional guy lines. That will get you down to 3 pounds and 5 ounces. Also, the dimensions of this tent. It's supposed to be 82.6 inches in length, and that is correct. It's supposed to be 41 inches high. I get 37 inches. And then the dimensions of the width, the head is supposed to be 37.4. I get 35 inches. The foot is supposed to be 20.5, and that is correct. So this tent is off in a few places. So let's get the fly on this tent and see what it looks like with the fly on it. Start on the back side of the tent. As you can see, it does have a pre-attached gout rope at the bottom. It also has a cord that goes from there to the body of the tent to pull the mesh out on the body, to pull it out away from you to give you a little more room. It has a vent at the head of the tent and another gout rope at the bottom. It also has a cord that's pre-attached that you can also pull the body of the tent out away from you at the head to give you a little more headroom. It has buckles that attach the fly to the footprint or to the base of the tent or the body of the tent. You can do either one actually. You can attach it to the footprint and use it as a quick pitch without even using the body, or you can go directly also to the body of the tent and not use the footprint. It does have 2 more guide points. You see them at the top of the tent there by the door. It has one here, one over here, and then 2 down by the vent. So what about the materials used on this tent? Well, the fly is made of a 210T polyester material with a 3,000 millimeter polyurethane coating on it, which should make it completely waterproof. And notice I say the word should. The mesh of the tent is a B3 mesh. It's a polyester mesh. The floor of the tent is a 75 denier polyester. It also is supposed to have a 3,000 millimeter waterproof rating on it, although I did notice the bag said it was a 5,000 millimeter waterproof rating. I'm not so sure that either one of those are true, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So let's look at the test results and see where I actually took this tent out and used it in an ice storm and then took it out in a rainstorm. And then we'll come back and I'll wrap it up on the pros and cons of this tent. I first tested this tent by taking it out in a winter storm where we received about 1.5 inches of ice and snow.
The tent performed very well. I next tested it for water resistance by setting it up in my backyard during a major rain event.
And I'm testing it out right now to see if it's waterproof. It's been raining for the last 12 hours, and we're going to take a look inside and see if it has leaked any. I can already see we have some water right there on the mesh of the tent in two different places. This is on the front of the tent. Let's open it up inside and see if there's actually water inside. Okay, so even though the seams in this tent are taped, it has leaked inside. And it's wet in several places, but it definitely is not waterproof. So I looked at this tent closer. I'm looking right at the top of the fly, and you can see there's water on top. You can see the water drops on top, but if you look underneath here, I'm gonna reach up here into the fly and touch right there. All these drops right here, these dark drops, this is all water underneath the fly. So this tent is supposed to have like a 3,000 millimeter waterproof coating on it, and it is leaking straight through the fabric. Yeah, this tent is definitely a flop. Definitely not waterproof at all. So what are the pros and cons of this tent? You say, Dustin, are there any pros on this tent? Well, yes, there really are. First of all, the overall design is really good. I like the fact that the poles cross twice. That opens up the top of the tent without using a third pole and gives you a lot of shoulder and head room. The fact that the poles are pre-bent gives you more vertical head on this tent, which gives you a little more head room. The door on this tent is really large. It made it really easy for me to get in and out. I didn't have to move my legs up. I could just get right out of this thing. It has a lot of mesh on it too, which is also a big pro. It has pretty good ventilation for such a small tent, but the cons far outweigh the pros. First of all, it needs to be longer. If you're 6 feet or larger, this tent is simply not long enough. Your head is going to be touching the top, your feet are going to be touching the bottom. If you're 5'10" or less, it would be fine, but if you're over 6 feet, no, it's not got enough room. The shoulder room also needs to be the full 37 or 38 inches instead of 35. And the foot box, I did cram my 25-inch pad in there, but it needs to be 25 inches. Then the mesh on this tent. The mesh is very thin. I'm not sure how well that mesh will hold up. The zipper on the body of the tent is also pretty flimsy. I'm not sure how long it will hold up. Of course, the stakes are the cheap stakes that they send with almost all of these tents that are budget tents. You probably need better stakes. Then, of course, the big thing is the fly. Now, when I took this tent out and looked at it the first time, and I didn't mention this, but the seams are taped impeccably. I mean, the tape on there is perfect. There's no loose hanging threads anywhere on this tent, on the body, the footprint, or the fly of this tent. I really did not think this tent would leak at all. This tent is a very thick material, but obviously the waterproof coating wasn't either applied correctly or there was no waterproof coating on it, and that's why it leaked directly through the fly. I was really shocked. I did not expect that, but that's why you need to get out and check your tent before you take it in the backcountry. And also you need to realize when you buy a budget tent from one of these Chinese companies, this one does not have a warranty on it. Also, it's buyer beware, and you never know what you're going to get. I went online to the Luxe Tempo store to try to find a way to contact them. There was no contact information on there, no phone number on there. I could not find it on the internet. I finally went to Facebook and found them. They do have a Facebook site, and sent them a direct message, but I haven't heard anything back from them. So there's no warranty on it. I'm probably stuck with it. Now, I will probably go buy a $10 can of waterproofing spray and put on the fly, and that will probably waterproof it, but you shouldn't have to do that. So can you find a one-person backpacking tent for $89 that really is a good tent with a warranty and will hold up and is tried and true? Yes, you can, and I'm going to do a video on it. You'll see it up here in the corner and you can click on it, but it's $89.99 for that tent. It's actually bigger than this tent. It weighs the same amount of this tent. It has a 1-year warranty, and it's made by a company that is a tried and true company. They also have a version of that same tent for $109 that's even lighter than this tent. And that is one I bought for my son. So I'm going to do a review on that. Click on it and watch it. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review.